Today, we're going to be tackling how to enhance your search engine rankings. We're going to be able to explain this in a format that's going to allow any executive or marketer or agency professional to move forward with the right ideas about SEO and how to use them for your website or your business. What is SEO? Search engine optimization is really just a process for improving how visible your site is in ranking. An even simpler way to put it is, where do you come up on Google? If somebody types in exactly your product or your service, not necessarily your brand, but the thing that you create, does your site come up? And so search engine optimization is the process of basically playing by Google's rules, optimizing your site and the content and how everything works so that Google likes your site and likes it better than the competitor's site. Why is it important? It's important because it's going to help your brand capture sort of new traffic that you wouldn't be getting elsewhere or otherwise. And it really helps drive your strategy. The great thing about SEO and what Google has done is it basically is very explicit. What people are after, what they want to see on your page, how long they stay, do they bounce, do they convert, do they come back? Google is asking and answering all of these questions in real time for every single site on the internet and tracking all those metrics. And the sites that produce the valuable content, valuable information, stuff that really helps that searcher's life get better are the ones that are going to rank first. So Brian, go ahead. What's your spin on it? I
Yeah,
know you're dealing with this stuff all the
I
time.
think I think what's most important is the person searching typically is a much more interested buyer, someone that's closer to the path of purchase than you would get for example, running ads on Facebook or other platforms where you're spending money to get exposure. Where if you can optimize for SEO, show up for transactional type of keywords, you're setting yourself up to show up for what we would call warmer leads or warmer customers.
I would put a little spin on that as well. You might hear people talking about a marketing funnel. And when Brian and I have these conversations with clients, we basically have seen time and time again that your search engine presence is very middle of the funnel or even progressing towards the bottom. The folks that go to Google and type in your exact product, your exact service, or the pain point that they're experiencing that your product or service solves, they're very close to taking an action. So if you can rank highly for a mid-funnel transactional keyword, it's really going to pay dividends because people search it. Google serves up your site, they click on it, they see the information that they were looking for, they feel like they're in a good spot, and they proceed to either swipe the credit card or fill out the contact form, etc. And the traffic is time and time again has proven to be the most valuable traffic that you can get for your site is the organic traffic. And hey, it's free, so you can't get better than that.
The important thing to think about is when you're ranking on Google, it's not just your homepage, it's all the content and the subpages across your website. So what that means is you have to have a content strategy or an idea of what the content is going to be on your site so that it meets the various kind of questions or searches or research that someone might be doing that may lead them to buy your product. And when you do that, we're maximizing our exposure or your reach or your potential search engine traffic, in which case you're compounding the amount of traffic that you get onto your website, and you're making content that is relevant to the potential customer across the board. The other thing that we want to pay attention to is we want to make sure that the site is technically as efficient and as readable and digestible from the Google search algorithm, right? It's going to read through the HTML, read through the actual content, the typed out words, and try to spit out the best result for the person that's searching on Google. So what that means is we want to make sure that the site is as search engine friendly as possible. So it's not only just the content and what the written words are, but also how you structure it on the website and how well the website gets served up to these search engines. That's going to make sure that you're maximizing your SEO efforts.
Probably should have titled this "How to Maximize Your SEO Efforts." So from just the highest level strategy perspective here, we see people make this mistake all the time. It's important to realize that Google ranks individual URLs. You've never in your life had a search result come up that takes you to multiple places or multiple pages. What Google serves up is the best page ranked in order of, let's just say, awesomeness or value for everything in their entire index. So search engine optimization isn't a one-time thing. It's not, let me clean up my homepage or let me spam 100 blog posts in a row that are all around this keyword topic and I should be good. The game has changed hundreds of times between, since in the past 10 years, even they update their algorithms, they kind of move the goalposts on you. But in general, it's always been the same strategy. How good is your content? How easy is it to read? How helpful is it to humans? Is this a better experience? Is this a better answer for a human? If you're selling the new widget, you could have 20 blog posts on how the widget works. You could have 20 pages on how the widget solves the problem. This is a depth of content that is all designed to explain and educate the customer about your widget, your product. And so the attributes of a particular page that can be optimized are many. Could be the title, could be the depth of the content, how long is it, the headings, internal links. You'll see a lot of little, they call breadcrumb links at the top that go above the articles. That's why at the bottom of that blog post, you might see a link that says, interested to learn more, read more about how this works. It takes you to the next page, which is logically organized in a category that human beings can understand. If you play this forward, it really doesn't need to be that complicated. The important thing to keep in mind is you have to have the best and the most content around the thing that you do. Is it a product? Is it service or a service? You need to explain that as an expert. It's about literally thinking about your website itself and its content as a universe that you're bringing customers into, that they're going to spend 3.4 minutes on, and they're going to learn everything there is to know, and they're going to trust you, and it's going to load quickly, and it's not going to serve an ad in their face, and it's not going to have a spam link on it or look weird on mobile. If you deliver great content and a great experience, it's easy to understand for humans, then the net result will be they'll spend more time on your site. They're going to click through more links. They're going to share with their friends. They're going to tweet about it. Google's listening to all this. They're tracking all of it with their click-through rates and with tools like Google Analytics, and they want the best stuff to go to the top. And that's really the long and the short of it is your entire content universe technically and contextually accurate and awesome? If so, you're going to do a great job at SEO. You got nothing to worry about. So up next, I really want to talk about the two pillars of SEO. If we were Google engineers and we looked inside their algorithm, there's actually probably 500 things to focus on, but they all fall under the same two categories. And as marketers, we don't need to care about them besides these two main aspects. The content, we pretty much talked about that at length. How good is it? How long is it? How easy to read is it? Does it have an infographic? Does it have a YouTube video attached to it? Does it have some helpful images? Do your images have meaningful names on it? Does it answer the questions? Does it have the link that takes people to the next article, which furthers them along their journey? If so, you have great content. How good is your stuff? Does it make people's lives better? Full stop. If it doesn't, you're not going to rank, period. On the next side, you have links to that content. If you were to write the greatest article breaking down every Formula One winner since the history that the sport has been invented, and you wrote it all out and you had photos and captions and interviews and an infographic, and it was an amazing piece that you'd put together, then all the Formula One fans are going to be like, wow, what a great article. They're going to share it on Twitter. They're going to link to it on their own site. They're going to say, what a great breakdown by Brian, who's really put together an amazing piece. Well, when site A links to site B, Google captures that and puts it in their index. This was the core of Google's innovation when they first released is, well, how many people link to this stuff? Because it's a big popularity contest. If you write great content, naturally, people will link to that content, share it on social media, share it on their own websites. And when Google finds those links, it's basically a vote of confidence. What a tremendous vote of confidence that the admins of that site think your stuff is so good that they're willing to send their precious traffic your way. That is going to move the needle tremendously for your search engine optimization efforts because people link to it. So the simplest way to do it, you put your head down, forget all the noise, stop reading the blog, stop this video. All you need to do is have the world's best and most content around your topic and have the world's best and most links to that topic. And you're going to rank very, very well. If you Google World War II with no qualifiers, just type it in. What Google is most likely to serve up to you and has been doing it for many years, and I very strongly believe they're going to continue to do it in the future, is they're going to serve up the Wikipedia article on World War II. Why? Because the single link to the Wikipedia article on World War II is the world's greatest page, single URL that you can click on that has ever been constructed on the topic. I challenge anyone watching this to find me a better publicly available content set around World War II besides the Wikipedia link. Google knows that. Why do they know that? Because people who click that link in their search engine results page stay on that site for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 50 minutes. And then everybody writing their high school paper is going to link to the Wikipedia page. So now there's millions of links to it, and there's tens of thousands of words written on it that is extremely well organized, categorized, filtered up to the top, best stuff's up here, sublinks, images, a crazy amount of depth. Everything you'd ever want to know is there. That's why the content is the best. And human beings have realized that. That's why they all link to it. So if you have the best content, you got the best links, you're going to rank on that first page, if not in the first spot. And I really can't summarize it in any other way. Brian, take it away. What's your thoughts on this?
We want to see from the pages of the site how many page views a particular new piece of content will get. That's one way to measure month over month. Hey, this piece of content that we created, this one's outperforming other content on the site. So page views is a metric to analyze that. The other metric, as Lucas alluded to, is how many links, or what we would call backlinks, people referring from other websites, third-party websites, referring back to this piece of content. It could be a blog post, could be a service page that you wrote, but essentially that's another metric that indicates what is good content on your website. And as you publish new content, these are the things that you want to look for: is page views, backlinks, comments, and social shares. And that's going to indicate whether or not that piece of content is good or underperforming relative to other content over time. So that's just something that we look at on a day-to-day to kind of help us improve and iterate over time. And I just figured I'd give you guys a couple of metrics that you can analyze and do this yourself as you create new content.
The example we're giving is these big topics, Formula One or World War II. You're probably not trying to optimize for World War II. You might be trying to optimize for Cupcake Company Cleveland. And the really important thing to realize is that's the battle you're fighting. Google right now and put in quotes, "cupcakes near me, Cleveland," end quote, and then search it. What comes up? If it's not you, just take a step back. Don't be upset. Follow the first link, follow the second link, follow the third link. What do you see on those pages? Now look at your site. What page do you think Google wants to give people on your own site for Cupcakes Near Me, Cleveland? Is it your homepage? Is it your location page that has the address? It's probably that one, the location page with the address. Fine, let's go with that. So now I'm on your cupcakescleveland.com/contact. What do I see on there? A screenshot of a Google Maps listing, one picture of your storefront, and your address and a phone number. That's it. 50 characters on your website, 2 pictures. That's it. Let's go look at the competition. What's on their site? Oh, well, they have 4 paragraphs. They got their Instagram feed embedded here. They got their Google reviews embedded here. They got a video of the founder talking about how awesome their cupcakes are. And they say the word Cleveland, 4 times in it. This implies that their page is better than yours. You don't need to have the Wikipedia level content. Trust me. You need to have the better localized Cleveland cupcake content just to beat those other URLs, not companies, not competitors, not your arch nemesis from across town. It's none of that. It's the URL itself. Is your URL better than their URL at answering the question, cupcakes near me, Cleveland? If so, you're going to rank. You have to put that into your head and embrace that, because it is a competitive auction for who comes up first for that keyword. And it's not about how much they like your whole site or how good your cupcakes are. None of that matters. Do you have better content? Is it answering the question better? Do people enjoy being on your site more so than the competitors? If so, Google's going to give that traffic to you. And that's what Google wants. So those are the two pillars, content and links, two most important pillars of SEO. If those are the only two things you take away from this presentation, you're going to be in a good spot. Let's go, Brian.
Yeah. So when you think about writing a piece of content, a lot of people forget or don't realize that these are components of the website infrastructure that the search engine is going to look for. So when we talk about meta descriptions and title tags, these are just the taxonomy across website HTML that when a search engine reads the page, it's looking for those things to help organize the information that it's trying to analyze. So a meta description is a short description of the page content. And if you ever search on Google and you see that little paragraph that shows up under search result, that is your meta description. So it's very important that you not only include the main keyword that you're trying to show up for in this meta description, you also want to make sure that it's compelling enough and has a call to action to bring someone into reading the rest of that piece of content. You don't want to just show up on Google and people scroll past it. You want to be able to catch the person's attention, answer their question, and drive them into reading more of that content. So a meta description is just another way to optimize and make sure that when you do show up on search results, you have the best chance of getting a click through. Now, the same thing goes for title tags. We want to make sure that your title tags are also keyword rich. Again, title tags are basically, if the paragraph underneath the search result is your meta description, the title tag is the first line that you see that's highlighted in that search result. So that again has to answer the person's search query. If someone's searching, as Lucas alluded to, cupcakes near me in Ohio or cupcakes near me in Cleveland, the title of that page should be talking about cupcakes near me in Cleveland. So if you can include that in the title, you're much more likely to show up. You're likely to be answering the person's question. And then the meta description can provide additional context on what's on the page to drive them in there. Now, there's next component, the headings. This is in HTML structure, a heading basically. H1, most important, H2, second most important, H3, third most important, and so on. So as you compose the content of your website and you're organizing the different paragraphs of a particular blog post, for example, you're going to want to make sure the H1, the most important heading on the site or on that page, contains the keyword. H2 and H3s may contain contextual keywords or something that's related to what you're trying to answer. So if it's cupcakes near Cleveland, Ohio, you might have your H1 state that directly, cupcakes near Cleveland. H2s might be talking about different flavors of cupcakes or different variations of that keyword. This answers the cupcakes near Cleveland, Ohio question right off the bat. If your H1s aren't optimized for that, you're just not beating the competition in that scenario. Other people may be doing this. And if you're not doing it, you're already falling behind, even though your web page might be talking about cupcakes in Cleveland. But since you didn't organize that in your meta description, title tags, and headings, Google doesn't emphasize it as much as someone else who may have done this for you. So it's just a matter of understanding how the search algorithm works. And once you understand that and you organize your content around how it reads the pages, you're setting yourself up for success.
These three things are basically your sales pitch, if you would, to let not only Google know, you should send me traffic to this page because this is what it's about, but also when Google surfaces the result in the search engine result page, it's going to show you in blue, well, this is the title of this page. Is that intriguing to you? It's going to show you the meta description beneath it. Is that intriguing to you? Click on this because it has the answer that you are after. That is what the title tag's about. That's what the meta description's about. The point is to make it descriptive, but also meaningful, but also a little bit salesy to encourage people to click on it. You could spend 20 hours writing the world's greatest article and then mistag it, misdescribe it, misorganize it, and Google's going to be like, I'm confused, I don't know who to serve this up to, and you're going to miss out. That organic search traffic is just straight up like putting more customers in your store, period. It also really lends to a level of trust. Now, that's the one in the bottom right-hand corner. But if you rank number one on Google, then okay, on your homepage, you can be ranked number one on Google for this. It's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy that you have the best thing. Why? Because you rank number one on Google. So it builds trust with people. They're more likely to convert. And so it's really important. I think these other benefits here, generating leads, if you have a solid strategy to convert folks, you're going to capture them, either sales, or you're going to get an email address from them, or maybe a social media follower, but you're going to convert in some way. Obviously puts more eyeballs on your site, raises your brand awareness, and it keeps you ahead of your competition.
It's probably the best analogy, or the way I like to look at it is almost like if I had a franchise or like a McDonald's, and I was able to have the best location every time. If I'm located right next to the airport and there's a lot of foot traffic and a lot of people coming through, then I'm just going to have naturally a lot of business without much advertising or much spend on my end. I just happen to be in the best place to receive the best customers. When you're able to set up your website and obtain a first page, first position ranking for a money keyword is what we would call it, you're almost printing money at that in that scenario, because you don't have to spend additional dollars to drive traffic. You have organic people naturally going to your website because you have the best answer to their primary question or their concern or their problem.
How do you create a strategy? Brian is really involved in this, but I think the important thing to do, just from the biggest perspective possible, is to have a strategy. You can't just write about what you think in the morning. If you're not looking at the keyword volume, you might be calling it a cupcake when somebody else calls it a muffin. And if muffin gets 3 times the search volume as cupcake, well, you're better off calling yourself or referencing the word muffin in your strategy. If you don't look at your competitors, you're not going to know what they're doing that you're not. If you're not updating your content at all times and keeping stuff fresh, then people are going to think of you as a stale resource, and Google will as well. So the important thing is that SEO is not a fixed deliverable. All the time people say they'll hire us for SEO, and we'll say, okay, cool. So here's step one. We're going to clean up all this stuff and make your content longer, do the headings, the descriptions, all this. And then they have this interpretation that, okay, so we're good now, right? Google's going to give me the traffic now, right? Well, not really. Like, as if The Simpsons first season would still be meaningful and attractive and be the top watched cartoon show if they re-released it today. No, they have to be topical. They've changed it. They've adopted to the culture and updated their jokes and the characters and everything that they've done to continue to produce award-winning, fantastic content. The same analogy applies. It is an ongoing process. You need to have a strategy for, in reality, what do you do better than your competition? What do you want Google and the world to think you are the best at? And then from there, back your way into the content strategy that supports it. So, Brian, what do you think about filling in the details on this topic?
Yeah, I think what's important to understand is every time someone searches on Google, the results are different or potentially different. Google is testing out the best result every single time. It's not a guarantee that you're always going to be first position, first spot every single time someone searches across the United States or across the world. And as Google has continuously changed their algorithm, you also have to adapt. So that's where Lucas is talking about. This is a long path. This is not something that happens overnight, and it's not something that you set it and forget it. So when we think about conducting our service, and what we do is we start with conducting keyword research thoroughly. It's not just, hey, if you want to show up for cupcakes in Cleveland, it's what are other search topics that someone might be searching for when they're researching and trying to buy cupcakes locally. We got to build out a buyer persona and think about who are these buyers that are coming to and searching for cupcakes in the area, and come up with keywords that not only answer the questions, but also support the initial keyword that we're trying to show up for. Now, the important thing is content should be unique, informative, engaging, and well structured. I think we've covered how you can identify what's a well written piece of content, how to measure that, and then how to understand whether it's hitting the target audience or not. And then, as Lucas stated, we want to regularly update the content on the website. So if you wrote one piece of content that said the best top 10 places to get cupcakes in Cleveland, that might already be dated, but in 2022, you're going to want to write it again in 2023, update that blog post so that you get a fresh piece of content, a fresh index on Google to let them know that this is something new to look at, and it might update your position on the search results. The other thing that we always recommend is search engine optimization is not an isolated service on its own. It's a part of your entire marketing mix. And the best results usually come when you promote your content on social media or email marketing, so you can drive new eyeballs to that specific new fresh piece of content, which signals Google to say, hey, there's interest on this page. You don't always own that spot. So that's why we have to constantly monitor that. We have to constantly update the titles, the meta descriptions, and the content to get you in that position and keep you there. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And typically the results are served best when our clients and everyone involved is on the same page as far as understanding that this is a longer journey. And if we can keep that position, pay rent, and show up, you're going to get a lot of business.
This is our checklist. You might not need to do all of this, depends on how hard you want to push, but I think they're all relevant. I'm going to touch on them quickly. Monitor Google Search Console. I would say 95% of the people we work with don't even know what Google Search Console is. This is literally like the mechanic who plugs your car in and says, hey, this is a diagnostic on why your check engine light is on. Google makes this free. You can simply ask them to provide you the details on how well your site does in search, what their opinion is of it, where you rank, what your click-through rate is. If you're not looking at that, you're flying blind, period. Turn it on, pay attention. It's that easy. Populate SEMrush is a third-party tool. Most folks won't have availability for this, but if you'd like us to run a report, drop a comment wherever you're seeing this content, and we'll happily put you in our tool and get you that report. SEMrush is going to really dive into competitive research and give you ideas, not just what Google thinks, but here's what you can do and why. You want to track those relevant keywords. You can do that manually, or you can do it with a tool like SEMrush, but you say, hey, I want to show up for these 10 and keep track of them. You don't need to show up for 1,000 different keywords. Your business or product service likely doesn't do 1,000 things. Instead, you want to make sure you're focusing on the 10 things that really move the needle. Submitting your sitemaps, it's important. Google will pretty much find them on their own. But if you don't have a sitemap, you don't tell Google where all your pages are, you're basically throwing your hands up and saying, well, I hope they come find them. I hope they know where my best page is that I wrote. You don't want to be left waiting around for their bot to come find it. You might as well tell them that that page exists. The way you do that is on that sitemap. We then advise on content topics and SEO strategies. So we'll do like a competitive analysis and what we call a gap analysis, saying, well, of the 10 questions that most of your clients are typing into Google, you answer these 3 pretty well. Your competitors answer these other 4 pretty well. You don't even have a page for those 4. We need to catch up and fill that gap. We want to perform an on-site audit for all the SEO optimization opportunities. So if your site's loading really slow, there's probably an easy way to make it go faster. If your site is thin on content, well, adding more content is pretty straightforward. So we're going to look at all your pages. It's not, how is my website SEO optimized? Kind of doesn't make sense. It does a little bit, but it's more like, how good is this page? How good is this page? How good is this page? Your website is a collection of pages. We want to do an on-site audit across all those pages to make sure that everything's looking good. We're going to look at your competitive and off-site competitive audit. And that just means if we say off-site, those are links that are on someone else's domain pointing to your domain, or in the sense of your competitors, a link that your competitor has that you might not have. So if they're active on Reddit and you see that a lot of their links are coming from Reddit and you realize, well, I never even did anything on Reddit. Well, you should go over there. They seem to be getting some links there. If you do what they do, you're going to get a link too, and you're going to close that gap. You want to look at things on a monthly basis. Obviously, you keep your finger on the pulse on a sooner time frame if you'd like, but rankings don't change overnight. And it's going to kind of be like a sawtooth effect where great ranking, it goes away. Then it's back and it goes away. But you always want to be trending up and to the right about where your site ranks. If you keep monthly or bi-weekly, let's say, view of your results, you're going to know what's working and what's not. So ignore the short-term noise, focus on the long-term strategy. It's going to take some time. Marathon, not a sprint. From there, you want to update all your title tags, meta descriptions for all your existing content. Pretty easy. If a page doesn't have a picture, let's add one. Doesn't have a video, let's make it. Your goal should be to build maybe 10 backlinks each week for your targeted keywords. This is a challenge. You can't just wave a magic wand and say, give me backlinks. You actually have to do real stuff. Could you go around and finish your LinkedIn company page? Yep. Could you sign up for Twitter? Is that a backlink? Yep. Remember, the best and most links back to your content is that second pillar of SEO. So getting those backlinks is critical. If no one on the internet is linking to you, it means that the human beings do not like your stuff. No one likes it. Don't expect Google to serve it up as if someone would like it. If you had great content, they'd link to it. Can you get 10 of those votes per week? If so, you're going to smash the competition. I think the last one here in parentheses really is the most important thing. We always recommend that clients produce 4 content pieces a month. That could be another service page. That could be a blog post. That could be a video like this. If you're not producing content, you don't have a channel. If you don't have a channel, you're not topical and relevant with the current times. You want Google to think, wow, every week, this particular site is dropping something really valuable that adds to the discussion, that helps customers find their way. So I feel confident from Google's perspective, sending them my traffic because they seem to be answering this question, not only today, but in the future. So Google knows it, your customers know it, your visitors know it, and that's kind of the fuel that you need to keep adding to the fire. If we're a train burning coal going down the track, if you stop making new content, you are not putting new coal in that combustion engine. You are riding on momentum only. Your competitor is furiously writing content. Brian, what do you think?
The content piece is the most important part, as Lucas alluded to. And just to give you a couple examples, it could be as simple as if you're a photography studio, it's publishing the latest photos you just took of a client and including, like, if this was a quinceañera, you just say quinceañera in Miami photo shoot. Creating content is easier than you think. And getting started and doing it consistently is the most important part, because then you can look back and understand what worked and what didn't, and you can keep iterating from that point. So if there's anything you take away from here, it's just producing content on a consistent basis. We recommend at least once per week. That gives you a way to continue to build a strategy around that. And for us, when we provide the service, we start with the content first. Everything else builds around that.
Don't get confused. Don't get overwhelmed. Remember, best and most content, best and most links to that content. But how you deploy those 2 pillars might change a little bit. And so let's go through these. The technical side, Brian already talked about, but let's just wrap all that under the easiest kind of umbrella, which is like the user experience. You must get the technical aspects down, because without that, you're confusing both humans and the bots. If you talk about local SEO, this is really just adding geographic qualifiers. If you're not familiar, if you put a city or a zip code or the word near me, what your experience on Google will be is that they're typically going to serve up a maps listing to you, or they're going to serve up, at the top 5 or 6 local businesses with addresses and pins and a phone number in their little maps unit, and then start serving up websites. You search Honda Odyssey near me, it's going to start serving you up dealers in your local market. This is great, better experience for you. If you want the localized traffic, you need to have a localized SEO strategy that includes the neighborhoods, the zip codes, and the other things that bring a localized component to your content. On-page SEO and off-page SEO, let's just do on-page. That can all fit up underneath the technical side of things. If you don't have it technically documented or internal links going back and forth and the next article people should read, your site doesn't have the best on-page SEO. So you really want to make the content great and the technical aspects work and make it clear and well organized, and you'll be killing those 2 birds with one stone. Off-page SEO, it's simply stated that you want links to your site, and that's it. How do you get those links is a different journey for every single client. These last 2 or 3 here, Shopify, Amazon, and e-commerce SEO, it's just a little bit different for products. I'm of the belief that there is no amount of detail or description that can hurt you in your SEO strategy. And you might think like, well, who really wants that detail? Well, Google wants it. Some customers want it. But remember, you're trying to make the world's greatest page on that particular product. The more deep your content is, the more valuable it is, the better. And that applies to Shopify, applies to Amazon, applies to any e-commerce store. But in addition to that, how can you put some other contextual content around the product? Well, here's a blog post about customers using it. Here's a video tutorial about how to use this product. Here's other information that is in that content universe, particular to that product, that will add to those long tails. So that is kind of the different flavors for e-commerce focused SEO and how it might be a little bit different from just like a content driven SEO play or a service-based business. Guys, I think it's important to leave here. You can't just SEO your website and be done with it. It really is an ongoing process and the goalposts move. So you want to be playing the game, beating your competitors, making sure you have the best and most content and the best and most links to that content, and you'll be fine. If you guys need help with this stuff, we are happy to get you an SEM Rush report, do a quick audit of your website. So follow the link here, either below this video or on this presentation itself, which is available for download, and sign up for that free audit. We're happy to take a look at your site and give you for free, right out of the box, what our recommendations would be to deploy a robust and meaningful SEO strategy for your business or your website. So if that sounds interesting to you, please follow the link below in the description or shoot us an email to help@adapt.com, and you will hear from Brian and I on how we can help you out with your SEO project. That's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this lengthy video. We hope you found it valuable. If so, please like or comment below and subscribe to the channel if this helped you out in your SEO journey. That's it for now. Signing off.